GM, everyone. I'll probably give it just a minute or two here for people to filter in. Hey, Highlander, anything you want to demo today? Cool. So GM, welcome everyone to Engineering Demos. We do this mostly every other week, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. This is meant to be a time for engineers to share efforts in progress. Issues are fully expected to arise, not a problem. Demos don't always have to be demos of complete end user facing features either. You'll see a lot of times we'll show off back ends that don't have a front end yet, or even just use time to discuss any topic that could in some way benefit the DAO from a technical perspective. So we got some good stuff for you today. Theo, if you're prepared, love to get you up here to kick us off. See your hand raised.
Hey.
There we go. Cool. So the link to the Zoom in the stage chat here.
Yep. You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Cool. So I'll go ahead and share here. So what I'm showing off here is we needed to get some market data, so things like price and price history for Yearn specific assets. Our current.
Hey, I don't think I'm seeing your screen shared, or you haven't shared yet.
I am sharing.
There you go. There, now I do. Maybe it was just delayed.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so our current market data provider is CoinGecko, and CoinGecko has a great list of assets, but they don't happen to have the Yearn assets that we want. So we weren't getting any price data back from CoinGecko. So what we had to do is we had to do a little bit of prefactor work where we could extend our market service to be able to handle more than just one provider. And we did that, and then we added in the Yearn SDK, which we found a good endpoint where we could hit some historical data, and we can get some current pricing data for the Yearn assets. And so if you see on my screen, we don't have this merged yet into develop, but this is where we got to yesterday on it. If you notice down here, I have a Yearn Vault asset. we now have pricing data for that. So before, these were just dashes. We could get the balance, but we didn't have any pricing data. So one vault token for this USDC vault is worth $1.09. And so my 1.85 is now, it shows a value of $2.02. And then if I click into that, we get some pricing data for it here. So not only do I have a balance chart and a price chart, we are able to go out to multiple different market data providers and get data from any one of them. So if we have an asset that's supported on Yearn vaults but not on CoinGecko, it comes in. If it's only supported on CoinGecko, it comes in. If we want to add CoinCap or a fourth market data provider, then if it exists on any of them, this data should come in. And we don't make redundant calls. So if we go out and we find the data on one service, we just bring that back. But if we don't find it on that service, then we make another call to a different service. And so you can see for the price data, we have multiple days, multiple weeks, months. This vault here has an APY of about 3%. So the price doesn't go up too quickly, but if you go to the year, you can see this jump here is when the vault was created, and then it has steadily gone up since then. If I switch over to my balance, this is when I deposited into the vault, and then you can see it has just slightly gone up as time went on. With the USDC vault, it's very closely related to the price of the US dollar, so it doesn't have too much volatility to it. But the other vaults, ones that don't have a stable coin inside of them, they do get a little more volatile data because the price of the vault, though it goes up in relation to its underlying asset, is still subject to the market of that underlying asset. And so as you go up, you can see that this vault correlates to the price of Bitcoin, because this is the wrapped Bitcoin vault. Let's step into some code here and show you guys that. This one. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the right window. Okay, can you guys see my VS Code here? The market service in lib was extended so that we can set this list of market services, and then when web calls a function, we can just loop through that list and return the first result that we get. So if we're going to find all, we'll go out and grab all the data from CoinGecko, and if we find a result, we'll just return that to web. If for whatever reason CoinGecko goes down, then we'll go to the next market cap service. And then same with the individual functions. Find by Cape 19 will do the same thing. And since my Yearn asset isn't on CoinGecko, it loops through once, doesn't get a result, then goes off to the Yearn market service, and returns that data. And then we have a pretty structured API for these market providers, or these market services, I should say. So 3 functions right now, and they map very closely to each other. So the interface to web is agnostic as to which service you're using. Send the same parameters to each one, and it works out really well. And I was pretty excited about getting that chart data in there. With DeFi Cafe's state updates a couple weeks ago, it was very seamless once we got that data coming back from the provider to get it to display in the UI. It was really just return it to web, and web handled it, put it into the Redux store, and it was really great. And that's all I have. Saw you unmute, Adam, but then you muted again.
I think Adam may have lost power with the windstorm that's going on.
Possibly. So good.
Yeah, so thanks for the demo. Is there any, I don't know if there's any questions in the stage chat about anything? Doesn't look like it. All right, I think the next demo was maybe from Middle Name for some health monitoring in V2.
Hey guys, I'm back here.
He's back.
Back in action for the moment. Thank you very much, Ocean. Windy as hell here, and power's been going out a lot lately, so I was kind of wincing and waiting for it to happen. And of course, it was 8 minutes into demos. I think Highlander's going to show us some testing stuff, automated testing with Cypress that he's been working on. Can't hear you if you're speaking,
Yeah.
Highlander.
Yeah, I can't hear you either. How about now?
There he is.
Yes.
Will the
That's
real
weird.
Highlander please stand up?
So, something about the lid being closed on a Mac turns off the screen. Okay. Yeah, let's pull up my screen here. Wait, can I not do my whole screen anymore?
Yeah.
News to me.
I kind of noticed the same thing. It was really only offering me to share a window.
It could be a security or guard against mayhem.
Well,
Maybe
I got,
Giant Kin or someone knows. If it would really help you to share the whole thing, maybe we can fix that. I was planning to share my entire desktop too for the demo I'm doing. It'll be really tough without it.
well, yeah, I'm totally not seeing it. I'll just start, I guess. Actually, let's start with the code. That makes more sense. Maybe advanced share options. No. Okay. So there's a few
I
things.
pinged Giant Kin to ask if we can get that changed. So I think do the best you can here, and I might interrupt at some point if we get it straightened out.
Okay. You can see the screen that I got open.
I'm pulling Zoom back up after the power issue.
I can see it, Highlander.
Cool. So yeah, this is on the web project. I've been working on Osmosis, and I got really sick of having to type in and click all the buttons all the time. So I started this for Osmosis, but I just figured, hey, I'll make a PR for what I got for Bitcoin and ETH. So there's a draft PR open against web if anybody's interested in viewing this. Essentially, all I needed to do was in the package.json, I added end-to-end tests. So this runs Cypress. Real quick config in there. And this is the fun part. So Cypress doesn't load the env. You have to use your own Cypress env. So this is loading the abuse seed. But what we're going to go through and show in just a second is this end-to-end test. And we are going to do a native Bitcoin transfer. So what you do is you load the web project locally, and then we're going to connect a wallet, and then we're going to click native ShapeShift wallet, and then it's going to type in the mnemonic seed, and then it's going to click next, and then it's going to load. And then I'm having trouble getting the Bitcoin modal to open, but we'll see this all run at once. So when I'm developing, I'll just sit here and change things, and Cypress will be running in the background with a hot reload, and this web server will be on a hot reload. So rather than having to type in stuff as I'm developing, it'll just auto run as I go. So let me stop sharing this, and we'll see it actually work. So this is the Cypress window. I'll let you decide what tests you want to actually run. So we'll kind of stop this. And of course, it's yet another window I have to click on. Okay. So this is the Cypress window. Cypress itself is actually a browser. So it's like a custom browser that's powered by WebDriver. So if I go ahead and, oh, it's not happy because I killed the other window. So behind the scenes, I'm running 3 windows. I have the yarn command that runs Cypress, and then I have the test list. And then this third window that I'm sharing now is the actual Cypress window. So I just clicked on transfer Bitcoin in the other. So it should load the site, enter the mnemonic, and then get all the way to the where the seed's loaded, and we're trying to click transfer. I had to cancel it real quick. Sorry about this. I don't know. Damn it. Of course, it has to stop working during demos.
Wouldn't be a demo without a Highlander.
Yeah, it's just saying failing to connect.
We can chill for a few minutes while you figure it out. No pressure.
Okay. Yeah. Let me restart everything if someone else wants to hop in.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, maybe we can shift gears over to middle name. He's got some good stuff to show us in terms of monitoring and health on
Yep.
V2 open source. We'll come
Thanks,
back to you
Adam.
right
Yeah.
after Highlander.
Do we know if it's possible to share entire screens on Zoom?
I know Giantkin was working on it. We were talking in stage chat a little bit. I don't think he's had luck so far.
Basic, advanced. Yeah.
Can
Okay.
we share here on the screen, like on the stage?
I don't see an option to do that in Discord.
Yeah, unfortunately, not on the stage. In the general voice channel, yeah, but we'd have to like move everybody over there.
Yeah,
It'll be
wanna try
fine.
that?
I can. I really only have 2 windows I can swap between. So I'll just get kicked off here.
Cool.
So this is just going to be a basic representation of the components of this stack that I've built. So in the past, centralized Shapeshift has used Datadog as our monitoring solution. In DAO world, that doesn't really work, right? It's a centralized org. It's pretty expensive, and we want a way to reduce reliance on these vendors. So there are open source solutions available to put this together. But the learning curve is pretty steep, and it's not always an error-free solution. With a lot of massaging over the last couple of months, I've gotten it to a pretty good state. So the main components of it are Prometheus, which handles all of our metrics aggregation and time series databases. So which I'll be able to demo here in just a second. The alert manager is essentially an extension of Prometheus. Prometheus has rules in it that I've set up. An alert manager will hook up with other integrations like Opsgenie, PagerDuty, things like that, to make sure that humans are notified when an alert threshold is broken. Loki is responsible for aggregating all of our logging. And Grafana is the data visualization tool that uses Loki and Prometheus as backends. So if I zoom out here and look at the entire Unchained monitoring namespace, you see a lot more components. We have some exporters here. We have Promtail agents that are shipping logs back to Loki. And the way Prometheus works is it essentially just has a list of targets that it will go out to and get data from. Here's an example of one of these targets that Prometheus has set up. This is one of our MongoDB exporters. So this exporter actually logs into MongoDB, gets a lot of metrics on that service and exposes them on this endpoint that Prometheus will come in and scrape. And as I'm refreshing it, actually, right, I'm not sharing my entire screen, so you still only see my term. 1 second, I'll just swap over to Google Chrome now. All right, we can see Google Chrome. Assuming yes.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Thanks, Willie. So here you can see this data is refreshing as the state of Mongo is changing. Prometheus is set up to automatically scrape this data and store it. Right now, we have the retention period set up as 2 weeks. We can modify that as we need. But this is Grafana. So this is essentially the visualization tool that will reach out to those backend data sources like Prometheus and Loki and be able to visualize it to a user. So this is the main dashboard. So as you go to our Grafana instance, this is the first thing that pops up. This overview is essentially at a glance, is Unchained in a good state. Here we can see a time series chart for all of the alerts that have fired recently. Here we have easy at a glance are all of the components that make up Unchained. So we have the API, ingesters, indexer, MongoDB, RabbitMQ. Are they all working? And then we have some pretty basic signals here, right? So here is all of the RabbitMQ activity going on for Bitcoin, MongoDB operations for Bitcoin, requests coming in through Trafic, through our ingress to any Bitcoin backend, which would be the API or the indexer, request duration for those requests, and then the same thing for Ethereum here. We can add new assets as we add them. But this really just you should be able to come into this dashboard and be able to see, okay, is there a problem or is everything running smoothly? As we scroll down here, you can see that you really kind of dive in deep to these discrete components. Here we have the indexer and the daemon. They're both running in the same pod. So we can see CPU, memory, disk. So there's not really a whole lot of useful information here, other than if we run into a failure mode where we don't understand what's happening, this is the best first place to go, right? Because you have all of the basic signals. You can kind of get an idea of what might be sticking where. And the real useful thing about Grafana is just the ability to really zoom in on a lot of this stuff. So last night at 1:30, we had a Bitcoin indexer run out of memory. And so we can see that alert here on this alerts panel. And then as we scroll down, we can see a lot of the activity that was happening in the cluster when that happened. So as we scroll, we can see a lot of this changing. One of the really cool things about this stack relative to Datadog is that it allows us to get the metrics and the logs side by side. So here, as I'm looking at our Ethereum drill down, I can also go in to Ethereum logs and see error logs from that zone. So if I were to, let's say, I want to only look at what happened around 150. If I were to just select this right here, we can see it zooms in even further, right? So you only see exactly what you need to. From a perspective of trying to figure out what's going on, having the logs right next to the metrics is pretty great. This is kind of like a very basic version. There's going to be a lot more insights that I'll be adding as I'm getting used to this. MongoDB and RabbitMQ for each asset. And then we have a couple of other dashboards here that are focused on some other things, but a lot of these were just, I didn't build these specifically, right? So these were pulled in from the community, but it's great is because we already have all the data sources set up, so we can leverage a lot of these without a whole lot of extra work. This is a dashboard that is specific for Kubernetes nodes. So we have 9 nodes currently running in the Nginx cluster, and using this, we can drill down to any one of them specifically. From a sysadmin perspective, I mean, this is it's going to make it very easy for us to triage and identify issues. That is pretty much the basics of this here. So one more thing that I'll mention. In Prometheus, I've been able to set up some alert rules here that are integrated with Alert Manager, that integrate with OpsGenie. So these collection of alerts right here give us a pretty great idea. Is Unchained running? Are things, are failure modes that we've seen in the past, are we seeing those again? Keying in on Mongo and RabbitMQ give a pretty good indicator. And with a lot of the health checks and probes that we have on all of these Kubernetes objects and stateful sets, being able to assert that a stateful set or a resource is up and running is a pretty great signal that that signal is able to, or that service is able to accept traffic and return responses and generally be healthy. So we're in a pretty good spot right now, and we'll be adding a lot more to it in the future. Any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, middle name.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously paramount to the mission for us to know first, hopefully, ideally, when things begin to go south, so that we can intercede and keep things seamless and 100% up for users. Without this type of stuff, we end up being told by customers that things are broken. It's obviously not a place we want to be.
Right. And the great thing about this stack is that if people decide they want to run Unchained, they have the option of deploying this stack alongside their cluster. And they'll be able to leverage the same dashboards that I've created, the same alert rules, and we'll be able to massage it to where people can add or remove functionality based on their needs. So pretty great.
Agreed. If anyone in the audience has questions or comments, raise your hand and we'll bring you up here.
I got my
If
test
not,
working. If
yeah, we'll switch back to Highlander, see how things are going there.
real quick, so we'll go ahead and I think I can rerun it in here, so it doesn't make a new window. So this is just the fruits of the labor. It's going to load the site. It's going to click native. It's going to auto type in the seed, name it, connect the wallet. It's going really fast. Hopefully Zoom can pick it up. But yeah, so it just loaded a whole mnemonic. It loaded the dashboard, and now it's ready to do any commands that I want to go forward with it. That's all I got.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to, I guess, in a similar nature to what we saw from Middle Name, being able to automate testing this stuff and at least cover all the base cases 100% before we merge and eventually ship things is pretty big.
Yeah, so I'm running this on the on my desktop, but Cypress is actually designed to run in CI. So the idea is in Circle or in you guys' CI, it will do all these commands. So the same way that I'm testing it locally on my desktop, it'll test it exactly the same in Circle, and that can test just any regressions on that stuff. I also have something else that I started. Started a real CLI. So I have a repo that I will post on it that when I was working on Osmosis, rather than that inside that lib repo, I just pulled that out into its own package. And this uses Commander. And I call this ShapeShift CLI. And it's compiled this CLI.js. It could be that you just do npm install at ShapeShift CLI, and then when you have that down, and you can build transactions. So this is just kind of like the Bitcoin CLI. So TX, send Bitcoin address, and then this is going to go out and use that chain adapters to actually build a transaction. And this CLI could also run in CI. So we could have a job that just kicks off, and this could actually be in lib. So lib could go out to the npm, install this CLI, link it to the currently built lib package, and then verify that lib is capable of building. And we could even do broadcasting transaction. This is just the way I like to develop, is having I'll go through this before I start doing the Cypress test, just to make sure that you can get addresses and build transactions and that stuff. Yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Highlander. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so bear with me for just a second. My power went out. Decided it was time to give me a new IP address here at home. So I've been kind of scurrying in the background to open things back up to myself that were pinned to my old IP. I think I got through what I needed to, but we'll find out in a moment here. See, I got a message from Giant Kin. Did we make progress on the... Yeah, I probably wouldn't go with the reboot just because that asks too many people to take action to continue tuning in. Appreciate you looking into it. I'm sure we'll get this stuff ironed out for next time. Okay. So before I start sharing, a quick preface. This is about Cosmos Unchained, our desire to get support for Cosmos and Cosmos SDK based chains into Unchained so that it can support the V2 platform. So Cosmos and the Cosmos SDK based chains like Osmosis, Thorchain, Kava Secret, the list goes on, are all largely identical in their core functionality. So our plan here is to build a solid Cosmos SDK foundation in Unchained that will allow us to rapidly add support for other Cosmos SDK chains. So the base Cosmos SDK includes all the functionality, the basic send, receive, count data stuff, as well as things like staking, governance, and so on. That functionality tends to be largely identical across chains. That's not 100% true, but it's very close. So if we approach this problem the right way, we should be able to get all the basic functionality for Cosmos SDK chains for all the chains, writing the code once, not duplicating, not copy pasta, doing things that make maintenance and upgrades and such in the future a nightmare because you have to make similar changes in 20 different places. And then we can focus on just adding support for the features that are specific to that given chain, such as the GAM module in Osmosis, which provides support for swapping liquidity, providing other liquidity pool functionality. So with that goal in mind, I set out to build a rapid proof of concept that would support retrieving account information and transaction history for a couple of these Cosmos SDK chains. So I go ahead and share. If I can find Zoom, there we go. Yeah, you guys are right. This does look a little different. Something changed on us. Cool. I don't think I fired Cosmos up yet. So this is Paw that I'm sharing here. It's very similar to Postman in its functionality. I started using this a few years back and found it was a lot more full featured than Postman. Postman's come along a bit since then, but this is still kind of my go-to way to interact with REST services. Let me start the server up. You guys are only seeing Paw, if I understand correctly.
That's correct.
All right, so I believe my server, my REST server is up. That's what I'm talking to here on localhost 1660. So if I send a request for information about a specific Cosmos account, I get a response back like this. Includes things like account number and sequence, which are needed for building transactions in order to send them on Cosmos network. Has the balance here, the balance is also reiterated a second time under tokens. If this account had IBC assets on it, they'd show up here as well. With a little luck, we'll see that in a moment with osmosis. So in addition to the base like available balance we're seeing here, it's also listing delegations. So atoms that are delegated to a handful of validators here. Let's see if I got osmosis server running. I don't. Firing that up. And while that happens, I'd have to switch windows. Crap. All right, scrap that for a moment. So osmosis account, same exact codes running on the back end. It's just talking to an osmosis node rather than a Cosmos node. And I've passed in an osmosis address, same type information, account number, sequence. And then, like I mentioned, we get more than just uosmo here in the collection of tokens. We've also got uion, which is another. So the
Uh-oh, Adam, I think we lost your audio.
I can't hear you.
Theobald, do you know what he was going to say?
I don't.
Something about these IBC assets showing up, maybe? I think he's going to say Ion is maybe an IBC asset.
Hey guys, I lost power again. Bear with me for a second.
Cool. We can hear you again now.
Yeah.
We lost you right after you were saying something about Ion.
Yep. So the power came right back on. It'll take probably a couple minutes for me to get network back on my computer. One moment here.
Maybe while he's working on that, Highlander, I know you guys are working on the Osmo integration, and initially it's going to support trading for Cosmos and Osmo. That was like the only requirement in the proposal. Is what Adam's showing. Does this mean that we'll hopefully be able to pretty easily add these other Tendermint IBC assets shortly after the initial release? You're muted if you're talking, Highlander.
Yep. Yeah. In theory, I think Terra is the next one that we have HD wallet support that we could potentially add.
Sweet.
But unfortunately, the way KeepKey and HD Wallet and Native are written right now, all Cosmo or all Tendermint assets need manual adding. But we do have Terra Kava Secret, and Terra is in the Osmosis network. So if anyone's a candidate, it would be Terra.
Super cool. And yeah, it reminds me, not only will we hopefully be able to easily add asset support and trading support, but all of these Tendermint zones have validator opportunities. So really excited that as we support more and more of these chains, hopefully Taxi Stake, and I see SCO in the audience, can spin up new validators with revenue share agreements for the DAO, so that we can basically we can make the default validator for any user that stakes in the ShapeShift app, the ShapeShift validator, and just keep expanding those revenue opportunities with minimal effort for each new chain we add.
Hey, Highlander, where was the per chain bottleneck? That's a signing thing, and I mean, is that limited to KeepKey?
It's the architecture of HD Wallet. HD Wallet has the is enabled. It's HD Wallet is the bottleneck as a whole. We had talked about
maybe we design that out with a upcoming wallet redesign stuff. SDK, like unification of chain adapters and HD wallet, I think is in the cards down the road here.
Yeah, we had talked a lot about a generalized Tendermint process. So totally.
One sec, I think my network's back. You guys hear me? So I'm going to connect to Zoom and share again here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry about that.
Hey, we're all experiencing the wind, so understandable.
Oh,
I'm
wow,
pretty
I've got
Okay.
to share desktops.
All
Holy
right.
shit.
Are you ready, or do you need me to stall anymore?
Dude, you've done a great job stalling.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to support all these different Cosmos zones, to support Osmosis, and to enable people to stake. I'm hopeful that we can attract a lot of the Cosmos users to the ShapeShift app once we have all that.
Cool. You guys seeing my whole desktop now?
Yep,
Got
we sure
Paul
can.
with.
Yep.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I think I was just commenting. So you see things like UI on here, UOsmo. If I look at Cosmos, it's U atoms. So that's micro atoms or millionths of an atom. So the amounts that you see here that are integers, in the case of atom, you can pretend there's a decimal point about 6 digits over here. Now that I can show multiple windows at a time and just show that the balances and stuff that I'm reporting are real. So 39, 633, 245. Same thing here. And then we've got delegations and such. So back to Osmo, these are IBC assets. This is an IBC voucher. So these are, I can't say offhand what they are without looking up the voucher here, but it's likely things like atoms, maybe UST, and things like that that have sort of crossed the chasm between Cosmos chains and live on the Osmosis chain now, or at the moment. So shifting back to Cosmos, I can read TX history for that same account. So for the pub key that I passed in, you can see the first one returned, which is, I believe, the most recent, is a basic send of atoms. So I can pull that TX up over here. And you can see 19 atoms sent, 19 atom transferred. You can tell that this is a receive by the account I queried on because of the to address. And it's also echoed here at TX level matches the input. If we scroll down further, some more basic sends. And then there's this receive packet. So I haven't put a ton of effort into decoding the IBC stuff, but that's what it's picking up on here, is receiving, looks like 49.19 atoms in an IBC transaction. So here it is here. See that same amount coming through. And then you get sort of the breakdown play by play on the IBC transaction. Yeah, so picks up on other things like withdrawing rewards for atoms that the account has staked. So this is doing sort of a multi, like get my rewards from all of the different validators that it's delegated to. And then you can see the transfers of the rewards coming back out to the account. What else do we got here? So this is a redelegation. If for some reason you want to move funds from one validator to another, you can do a special type of redelegate transaction that moves the funds directly from one validator to another. I believe you can do that once in, I don't know if it's the unbonding period or what it is, but you can do that once without unbonding the atoms, which for people familiar with Cosmos, when you do that, they're locked up in an unbonding period of 21 days. I believe it's 14 for osmosis. Regular standard delegate, similar, more withdraw rewards. Let's see if there's votes, no votes in here. Then I can jump over and do the same TX history for osmosis. You'll see really similar stuff. It acts very much like the same chain in all the base ways. So Osmo account, withdrawing rewards from multiple validators, and then receiving those rewards. And delegate, pretty much the same as what we saw with Cosmos. Then we come to one that's different and Osmo specific with a swap exact amount in. So in this case, you get two transfer actions. The first is this account transferring Osmo in, and the second is an IBC asset being transferred to the account. We can maybe look at this on MintScan. Where is it? So yeah, looks like I had it backwards. It's actually Atom in and Osmo out. Oh, my lights just flickered again. Bracing for it here. And you get Osmo out. That's what we're seeing here. So this is the account I queried, not this one. Before the power goes out, I will attempt to show that the same stuff works for Thorchain's base case as well. So there we go with account info. It's giving me the balance, account number, sequence, so on. Apparently balance here is not correct because it should match this one. So something's a little bit different we'd have to take a look at in this case. TX history for Thorchain. Similar idea. Thorchain has a deposit message type or transaction type, which is used for things like swaps and providing liquidity and a handful of other operations. So I haven't gone into this in any detail. I guess I can switch it up here quick and show you. In making Thorchain work, the net effort required is this main to start up the server. So it's just using the same new Cosmos service that we're using for Cosmos and Osmosis, and then creating a REST server using that service and some configuration data. And then the second piece was just to register the protobuf types specific to Thorchain. So this stuff's leveraging the blockchain code itself, more or less. The libraries are written in Golang, makes it a really nice fit to build the code that interacts with them in Golang and just leverage the actual source for the code and functionality. Working in other languages, you have the additional hoops to jump through of using or writing yourself some type of client library in order to interact with the chain. So it looks like, a net total of 15 lines here and 40-ish over here is what went into taking that functionality I built out for Cosmos and getting at least a solid start on Thorchain as well. And it's similar for Osmosis. There's a main, and then there's some Osmosis specific stuff. So I did put a little bit of time and effort into making the swaps return properly for Osmosis. That might be close to it. So after showing this POC off for the first time last week, I believe, I've been working with Kevin and Pasta Ghost and Elmut and others on sort of refining that, filling in blanks, and coming up with a long-term plan for production-ready code to launch and set us up for Cosmos, and then Osmosis. Sort of the plan is for that to come along at the same time. There's a bounty out there. There's a lot of interest in getting Osmosis support, a lot of cool functionality in terms of swapping and providing liquidity and IBC, and in my opinion, a lot of value for the DAO to get those things up and live. So Kevin's got a ton of Golang experience from the past. So I've been working closely with him to come up with sort of the best design to give us the best and most flexible, most maintainable, scalable backend for Cosmos. So my expectation is in a couple of weeks, we'll have more to show on this stuff. Are there questions? Really hoping people could hear me. I hadn't looked back to Discord in a bit. I had a sinking feeling maybe I was talking to myself for 20 minutes there.
No, we could hear you. No, it's good stuff.
My whole house just shook a little with a big gust of wind. Cool. If there's any questions, anyone in the audience that wants to chat, comment, anything like that, throw your hand up and I'll pull you right up, or hop on up here. Mr. Nerdhair, welcome. We can't hear you if you're talking. You have to do that once.
Yeah, push to talk.
Hey, John.
Hey, everybody. Awesome demos as always. I just kind of have a general question, and maybe you have more insight on it, Adam, because I haven't heard any of this in stand-ups or any of the plans lately. I think I might know the answer, but I think it's worth talking about for the benefit of the community. What are the plans for when we're trying to integrate ThorChain into the new web app? Is all the Tendermint stuff basically the blocker on that right now? Basically, we have to get that into Unchained before we can consider doing ThorChain integration.
Yeah, exactly. So this stuff that I'm showing here is sort of paving the way for us to add ThorChain. So yeah, I'd say we should get Cosmos and Osmosis shipped. At least Cosmos, just so we're not putting carts ahead of horses. And then I think we'll be in a really solid place to begin adding ThorChain. So the stuff I have here for ThorChain is, talking to ThorChain itself only. We can get information about any transactions that occurred on ThorChain, but there's a lot more to it because of the interactions with all the other chains. But
Cool.
I do think it won't be nearly the effort it was last time we set out on the add ThorChain mission.
Sure. Okay, cool. That makes sense, and that's what I thought. So yeah, thanks for confirming that.
Yeah, sure. Nerd hair, try again.
Yeah, so my comment is that this is all amazing and really cool, and that you're a great person, and I appreciate you.
Oh, dude, I love you too. Thank you for that. And this stuff's fascinating and super fun to work on. If I didn't have so many other cool things to do and to jump around and work on other projects, man, I could just put my head down for days and work on stuff like this. Really, really rewarding and fun. And now that we're doing it for a DAO and trying to advance the whole mission, it just makes it that much sweeter. Cool. Well, if we have no more questions or comments, I think that wraps us up for today. Closer to the 1 hour mark than 2, which is generally my expectation. Thank you, everyone. Super appreciate it. We'll have engineering office hours next week, most likely. Not 100% on that. And I will be out of the office for Christmas vacation at that point. So if I don't see people again, enjoy your holiday break. Thank you.